There's a lot that's new, but with a dash of the old, Proton's birthed a resilient contender that you can't deny. Previously on FMT's Carzilla.
Today we're looking at the Proton X50, which came out in late 2018, but in that time still remains the most technologically packed car in its class.
While the Proton X50 was a rather credible SUV from our national car maker, some still see it as a fluke, a flash in the pan. But just under 2 years after the X70 first graced our streets, along came one of the best additions to the Proton family, the Proton X50, launched last October. And boy did it show the doubters what Proton can really do. Thanks to its partnership with Chinese car maker Geely, Proton is clearly steering itself in the right direction. People are noticing too, because demand has been wild for these things. Some orders placed last year are only beginning to ship now, with the current waiting list around 6 months long. Here's 3 reasons why we think the Proton and Geely partnership is a winning combo. With a sleeker look at the front that's reminiscent of the Satria Neo, compared to the traditional open grille that we saw on the X70 and nearly every other member of the Proton family, change is clearly what they were aiming for. But enough of aesthetics. Let's take it on the road and see what it can deliver.
This car comes with a 1.5 litre 3-cylinder turbocharged engine, which is a little bit smaller than the engine that comes in the X70, but it's not something you really notice, because everything in this car is just a bit smaller. It's about a foot shorter and 8 centimeters lower, so even though the engine might be a little bit less powerful, it's not something you really notice. This car is also a little bit less thirsty than the X70 as far as fuel consumption goes. While that car did 100 kilometers with about 7.6 liters of petrol, this car does it with about a liter less. Inside the car, you get all the same goodies that came with the X70, but with some noticeable upgrades. For example, the voice control is a little bit more responsive, the touchscreen here is about 2 inches bigger on the premium models, and all the artificial intelligence features are a little bit prettier this time. It's not a massive leap forward, but it's still a great step in the right direction.
Another addition is automatic parking, absent from the X70. It's a clever feature and pretty surreal when it works, but is unfortunately a tad unreliable. Sometimes the sensors don't register an empty spot or tries to park directly into another car. If you're a confident driver, it's not a feature you'll be likely to use until it receives some fine-tuning. It's good to see Proton take a swing like this, but there's plenty of room for improvement. With the X70 and other previous contenders in its class, we've always had issues with rattling and parts that just never felt sturdy, thanks to our bumpy roads. But the X50 does a pretty great job holding its ground.
Priced at 79,200 ringgit for the base spec 1.5 litre standard model, you're saving nearly 15,000 ringgit compared to the same X70. When you get to the top of the line model, those savings are nearly 20,000 ringgit. So not only is it cheaper, but personally I think the X50 appeals to a much wider group of people. While the X70 was bigger and definitely felt more like a family car, the X50 is compact and a little bit younger. So you're getting all the same headlining features as the X70 in a cheaper and maybe more appealing package. It's smaller, so it's easier to drive in tight city traffic, and it overall feels a little bit more fun and exciting. The X70 is a great car in its own right, but this is the car that I think suits more people. So that was the Proton X50. Until next time, my name is Imran, and this is FMT's Carzilla.